So connective tissue proper, you have all these different kind of cells that belong to the connective tissue proper. And they have the fiber, that's the soup part. So that you have three different kind of fiber. Collagen fiber, that's the strongest one. Reticular fiber, that's the basic support. Elastic fiber, I call this rubber band. This is provide elasticity, so you can bend it. And they can change different kind of fiber, and it turns out the connective tissue have different property. So there's connective tissues, you have the cells, you have the fiber. And connective tissue proper divide into the loose and the dense. So the loose one, for example, areoli, connective tissue, so that's the one stay beneath the skin. And the dense one, like your tendon, ligaments, and that dense. So this can take more abuse. So the first one, loose connective tissue. And you find them in your lungs. So also know where to find them. Where do you find those tissues? Similar to the epitheliums. You know where to find those tissues. Next one, adipose. So adipose is fat and stay beneath your skin. We call the hypodermis. And that's the layers you have a lot of fat. And the fat, it keep the body temperature, and also it provide a cushion function. Like this is the extreme case. This guy being stabbed 38 times, and he's supposed to die, but he has a lot of fat. So it turned out the fat take the knife hit. So it turned out there's no inner bleeding, and he survived the stab because he has a lot of adipose. Dense connective tissue, you find them in the tendon. So tendon connect muscle to the bone, and that's the tendon. The watery part, you have the blood. So blood is a connective tissue because you have the blood cell, and you have the watery part, we call the plasma. And the lymph, that's the liquid state in the lymphatic vessel. You have the lymphocyte, that's the cell, and lymph fluid. So these two are liquid. Next one, bone. So bone is a strong connective tissue. You have the cell called osteocyte. And the matrix part, you have the collagen fiber and the calcium salt. And also cartilage is a connective tissue. We call the soft bone. And the cell is called the chondrocyte. And that's the bone and cartilage. Oh, cartilage. Cartilage is avascular, so no blood vessel. And we have three different kinds of cartilage. Hyaline cartilage, that's the most common one. Elastic cartilage, it put a lot of elastic fiber, so you can bend it many times, like in your ear. And also the cartilage called epiglottis in your throat. And this one will block your airway when you swallow, so the food won't go into your airway. And these two, we have elastic cartilage. And the fibro cartilage, that's a strong cartilage. So the first one, hyaline cartilage, and that's the most common cartilage you find in your body. So in the end of the bone, you have the cartilage. Also in the embryonic skeletal system, when the embryo produce the bone system, they will produce the hyaline cartilage first and replace the cartilage with the bone. Elastic, that's very bendable, elastic flexibility, like your ear, larynx, epiglottis, that's the elastic cartilage. And the fibrocartilage, that's the tough one. So they absorb a shock, like between your intervertebral disc, you put the fibrocartilage. Bone is a connective tissue. We'll have different chapters talk about the bone. So here we talk about the tissue part. The cell is called the osteocyte. And that's the bone structure. So they're made of, like, you put a lot of straw together, that's the bone. And each straw is called osteum, that's a unit. So inner part, they have the blood vessel. So when you break the bone, you bleed. And we finish the connective tissue and epithelium. When we combine these two together, it's called the membrane. So you have the membrane cover the inner body, the outer body. And we have 4 different kinds of membrane. The first one is called the mucous membrane, You found them in the oral cavity, in your airway, so they produce mucus. The next one is called the serous membrane. The serous membrane is a watery, moistened membrane. So this covers like your peritoneal cavity, all your inner organ in your abdominal pelvic cavity. You put in the peritoneal membrane, and also pleural membrane. The membrane covers your lung, and the pericardial membrane. The membrane covers your heart, and they are the serous membrane. Cutaneous membrane, that's your skin. And the synovial membrane, it produces synovial fluid. So that's between your joint, you have the synovial membrane. You have 4 different kinds of membranes. The next one, muscle. So we have different chapters talk about the muscle. And here we briefly talk about their tissue part. So we have 3 different kinds of muscles. The first one, skeletal muscle. And skeletal muscle, their job is to produce a big power. So they have those elongated shape, and they have those light dark pattern with a striation or striated pattern. They have many nuclei, and they are the ones for voluntary movement. And there's skeletal muscle. So they have those light dark pattern, we call the striated pattern, and they have many nuclei being pushed to the side. Cardiac muscle, you find it in the heart only. So if I ask you, blood vessel has what kind of muscle? It's not cardiac. Blood vessel has smooth muscle. So this one only in the heart. And they branch out, they have single nuclei, it's involuntary contraction, and they produce the blood pressure. So they contract, they send the blood to your brain, to your toe, and come back. And there's cardiac muscle, so they branch out because the heart is like a 3D ball, so it can branch out. They still have striated pattern. The last one, smooth muscle. So smooth muscle you find in all the inner organ except the heart. So the blood vessel, inner organs, and they are smooth muscle. So smooth muscle don't look like a muscle, they look like cells. So these are the smooth muscle. The last one, nervous tissue. And the nervous tissue, we have different chapter in Unit 3, talk about the nervous tissue. And in the brain, we have 2 kinds of cells. We have neuron and neuroglia. I'm going to spend a lot of time talk about the neuron. And they are the one from the neural network, so they are very unique structure. They have the dendrite, and that's the input part, cell body, axon. Axon is the output part. And between cell and cell, they connect together, which is called the synapse, or synaptic terminals, and this is how they connect. The dendrite and axon gonna connect together and form the synapse. Neuroglia, they are the supporting cells. They are not like neurons. So we actually have 10 times more neuroglia than neuron. And you find this nervous tissue in your brain. This is the neuron. So there's the dendrite part, there's the cell body, there's the axon extend out. And the axon terminal going to connect with other dendrites of other cells to form the neural network. And when you damage your tissues, they are going to have inflammation, going to have restorations. So their job is to regenerate the tissue. And depends on the tissue. Some tissue have very good regeneration rate, like the epithelium. And others have very bad regeneration rate, like the nervous tissue. If you have a stroke, pretty much the damage will be left there forever. So depends on the tissue. And skin tissue, they regenerate very quickly. And if you damage your skin, they're going to have inflammation. So inflammation is the process your body help you to fight the bacteria. Because when you damage your skin, you're going to bring bacteria in. And they will increase the blood flow, so the blood gonna flow there, and the job is to kill the bacteria and also regenerate. But when you have more blood flow there, it's gonna create a warmth and redness, and a lot of liquid, gonna cause the swelling. And when those liquid push the pain sensor, it causes the pain. So all these uncomfortable events happens after inflammation. It's actually your body do it to yourself, not the bacteria. And after inflammation, they're gonna regenerate. So depending on the tissue, some tissue regenerate very, very well, like the skin tissue, epithelium tissues. Others generate very badly, like the cardiac muscle and nervous tissue. So if you damage them, you pretty much live with that. So they have very bad regeneration rate. And when you're getting old, their regeneration rate slow down. And also when you're getting old, when they regenerate, they do the mitosis, so it has a higher chance to create error, and that's cancer. So cancer's a big risk is age. And also environment will cause it, like smokers have higher chance to get cancer. So a big percentage is caused by the environment. Okay, that's it.